such notice in the Home News Tribune, the Asbury Park Press, the board office, the schools, and on Cablevision Channel 118, and Verizon files Channel 24 by filing such notice with the Township Clerk. This meeting was scheduled for Tuesday, June 25th, 2024. The board will take formal action on payment of bills and other agenda items.
The Old Bridge Township Board of Education acknowledges that the law of this state establishes that members of the public, including members of the board, have the right to record public board meetings using audio or video recording devices, provided that the act of recording does not interfere with the business of this public board meeting. Therefore, the board makes it known that any such recording is to be considered the private recording of the individual and in no manner represents the official record of this board. The board therefore takes no responsibility for such private recording and completely disavows any future use.
Thank you, Mr. Wydell. Roll call, please.
D'Antuno.
Here.
Giordano.
Here.
Jodry.
Here.
Francisco.
Here.
Lent. Marquetta.
Here.
Mazzone.
Here.
Slade.
Here.
Solokowski.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Would everybody please rise for the pledge? Thank you. Code of Ethics? That's yours, Marge.
Yep.
Thanks.
I'm getting to it. The board member will vote to appoint the best qualified personnel available after consideration of the recommendation of the Chief Administrative Officer.
Thank you. Approval of minutes.
D'Antuno will move.
Can I get a second, please?
Ms. Owen will second.
Roll call, please.
D'Antuno.
Yes.
Giordano.
Yes.
Jodry.
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes.
Lent. Marquetta.
Yes.
Mazzone.
Yes.
Slade.
Yes.
Solokowski.
Yes.
Resolution 1 for approval of minutes passes.
Okay, recognition. We have, I believe, 4 or 5 retirees. Ms. D'Antuno, it's all yours.
I'd like to take a moment and thank Shelley Avola, Louis Whitman, Patricia Mercenac, and Roseanne Corbett for your time and dedication, a total of 73 years to Old Bridge, and we hope you enjoy your retirement. Thank you for everything.
Thank you very much.
Giordano motion.
Can I get a second, please?
Jodry will second.
Roll call, please.
Slade.
Yes.
D'Antuno.
Yes.
Giordano.
Yes.
Jodry.
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes.
Lent. Marquetta.
Yes.
Mazzone.
Yes.
Solokowski. Resolution 1 for
Yes.
recognition passes. Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, Superintendent's report. Mr. Sedadino, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to just move something to the Superintendent's report from page 37, item 11. You will no doubt approve it when we get to that point, but we have certificates that Dr. Tui has with him for 3 local organizations or businesses that have really made nice donations to support our Old Bridge High School special programs. That would be Costco of Morganville, the Knights of Columbus, number 4815, and the Old Bridge Elks, number 2229. I don't know if Dr. Tu would like to say anything in reference to that, but we do have the certificates if any members of those organizations are here.
Thank you, Mr. Dino. These 3 local companies help to dedicate to our Project Unified and our Unified programs under direction of Dr. Sasso, Dr. Doherty, and Ms. Chabosky. They've done a wonderful job integrating these programs into the day-to-day activities of Old Bridge High School, and we just want to thank these 3 local businesses and organizations for all their assistance over the course of the year. So thank you all very much.
Okay, and then progress towards goals. We have the twice annual report of the superintendents on HIB, violence, vandalism, and CDS usage. All of the members have that in their possession, the report. This report comes twice a year. You have to report period 1 and period 2. Period 1 is the time frame between September to December of each school year. Period 2 is from January until June. All the data from these points are then collected and submitted to the state. Once the state reviews them, then you can report them to the public. So usually it's about 6 months later from that time period. So tonight's information that we're reporting on is from the time period within the district from September to the end of December in 2023. We look at offenders under violence and vandalism for student offenders, student victims, school personnel victims, student victims of violent crime or offenses. We must report upon any program provided for disciplinary actions such as assignments, instruction, and support services in district programs, home assignments, home instruction, and out-of-district programs in which we place students in. During the period 1 time period, the count of incidents of reporting for violence and vandalism, we had 23 incidences across the district of violence, 2 incidences of vandalism, 1 was a weapons offense, and 10 incidents of substance abuse. In the area of HIB, we had to report upon the confirmed cases and the reported cases during that same time period. The number of HIB confirmed cases were 20. All 20 cases were investigated within the 10-day requirement of the New Jersey Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights law, and the Board of Education then reviewed and rendered a final decision within the district on all 20 of those cases. The number of HIBs that were reported were 37, and that meant that if 37 reported and 20 were confirmed, that 17 were not confirmed. There was 10-day investigation on all 37, and the board rendered their decision on all 37 as well. For the board's review, you can see that for the culminating period, period 1, that gives us a total of 36 incidences of violence and vandalism, weapons and substance abuse so far over that time period, and the usual area is 53 to 61, 74 for a year. Going back even further in the district, you can see we've been in a downward trend since the area of 2017-18, where we're at a high of 142 instances. Going back to 2011-12, there was 180 incidences, so we're moving in the right direction. To really reduce it by more than 100 incidences means that we're doing something right within our schools to lower those incidents. The HIB, you can see the time period on the last page of number of cases alleged and number of cases confirmed. I will remind the board that in 2017 you only had to do confirmed cases, not reported cases. So that has changed as well.
Can I ask a question?
You sure can.
So you're saying this is from September to December of 2023? That's
Correct.
period 1?
Yes.
And then how many other periods are there?
Just 2.
So just 2, and then January through June?
January through June would be period 2. That data right now has been submitted to the state since we just ended the school year. They'll review that, and by the time they get it back to us, I'll report that usually in January to you.
Any correspondence? None?
Nope.
Special committee reports, I know there isn't any. Hearing of residents on agenda items only. Okay, we'll close that portion. Can I get a motion to move policy?
Ms. Zone will move.
Can I get a second, please?
Francisco will second.
Any discussion? No? Roll call, please.
Mazone,
Yes.
Slade,
Yes.
Dantuno,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Francisco,
Yes.
Lent, and Marqueta.
Yes.
Solakowski.
Yes.
Resolution 1 for policy passes.
Thank you. Curriculum professional development, 1 through 8. Can I get a motion?
Jodry will move.
Can I get a second, please?
Dantuno will second.
I just have a question. real quick.
Yes, go ahead.
On number 7,
Can you just explain what that science dimension is?
Sure. We are in the last year of a 6-year contract with HMH for our science curriculum and materials for grades 6 through 8. We did a 1-year extension due to the uncertainty with the budget going into next year. And we will be looking for potentially a new science program for our middle school for the 25-26 school year. We had 2 vendors who were actively providing bids for that, and the teachers have vetted that process. However, obviously due to the budget concerns going into the season, instead of a $600,000 expenditure for 6 years, it was a $46,000 expenditure for 1 year.
Anyone else? Okay, I see no hands. Roll call, please.
Marqueta,
Yes.
Mazzone,
Yes.
Slade,
Yes.
Dantuno,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Francisco,
Yes.
Lent, Solakowski.
Yes,
Resolutions 1 through 8 for curriculum and professional development passes.
thank you. Finance, 1 through 25. Can I get a motion to move finance, please?
Dantuno will move.
Can I get a second?
Jodry will second.
Any discussion?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
On number 21 and 22. Okay, so number 21 says, move the board to approve the acceptance of a $20,000 NJCTA award grant for 24-25. My question is, after this school year, after the 24-25 school year, how will this be funded? Where would we get that money from?
So from my understanding, and I'll get more information on you, this grant is not mandatory for the continuation of our programs, but it's been supported by various grants through the court. So it's since the inception of our program. I'm trying to think of the name of the original grant provider. It was the Confucius Institute that used to provide the grant. Now it's changed over to this agency. This just kind of provides extra to the curriculum, but not is reliant on the curriculum. So even if the grant disappeared, we'd still be able to maintain the curriculum.
Okay. For number 22, if this grant is given to us, because from my understanding, this is just for us to apply for this grant, what will this be used for? And same question, how will it be covered the following year?
I could take that one. So the Perkins Grant is something we've applied for upwards of 20 some odd years at this point. It's used primarily for materials. Last year we had purchased textbooks out of this grant for our accounting program. It is associated with the level 3 classes, so it would be for materials for woodshop, automotive, accounting, and any other level 3 courses. Child development, I believe, also is in that category. And then those materials, including any professional licenses, are purchased out of this, so they don't have to come out of the local budget.
Now, if we don't get this grant this year, how do we then fund the textbooks and stuff like that?
We haven't not gotten it in 20 plus years, so not that I'm saying that it couldn't happen, but there's always a chance. So I think we should hopefully be okay.
Got it.
Just for clarification, this isn't a competitive grant. This is directly given by the state of New Jersey. So
Right.
typically, these allocations are already presented to us. We just have to comply with the application process, and we'll get the funding. So, also just for the record, we do have an administrative correction on resolution number 17 for the commercial insurance renewal rates. Originally, we were waiting on a quotation for the final cyber liability insurance package number. We did receive that today. So within the administrative correction, we'll have a change. The 24-25 school year, the cyber liability insurance package cost is $23,373. As a result, we've updated all the grand totals for all our insurance packages.
Anyone else?
So by reading this, to just go off of that, insurance went down? Is it because we...
The insurance policy for cyber did. And that's a lot of times as we get more secure on our cyber technology. That helps us. So the more we put in, more kind of protection we put on our own network, it helps
Right.
our policy.
When we use
Awesome.
double authentication and so forth.
Awesome.
And firewalls.
Great job, thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, I have number 8. 8 through 10, but specifically number 8. So in order to transfer these amounts, is this taking into consideration keeping the maximum amount before we have to reimburse it to the town?
No, so these amounts are just, if you look at every June for the past, probably as long as you go back, what this does is when we start our audit in the summertime, we then, any unexpended amounts in our account lines can go back into or build our reserves up. So these amounts that are here listed, it's just an amount up to 10 million. We historically in the past 7 years since S2, we've never gotten really close to any of these numbers. As you know, in the budget presentation, I think it was 146,000. That was back to the taxpayers. But these amounts are just standard resolutions that we put on in June, so that when we do have unexpended spending at the end of the year, we can put these back into our reserves. So this is just kind of standardized resolutions to have, so the auditor can check these, and then once we get all our accounts finalized, we can put accordingly. That is a process that's then discussed amongst my office and the administrators, where excess funds will be going back to.
But we're still maximizing the general funds before doing that?
Absolutely, correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
So yes, pretty much the same question, I think, because I had spoken to Mr. Wydell today about this. So my hesitation was, I mean, if there ends up being these excess funds, to put so much, like the cap for capital reserve was so much higher, and I know that you explained because capital projects can be so costly, but then to tie that money up, because once it goes in, it can only be used for capital projects, correct? So I was
Correct.
concerned, like, if we did have excess and we needed it, but I think this is what you're saying, right, Sal, for the general fund, that wouldn't it make more sense?
Right. So, and we know our capital reserve is because of the sale of the Nike base, it's strong. But again, we had some ROD grant projects this past year, and that money within those reserves is really what's helping kind of balance our books and provide us cash flow for the year and give us kind of some interest back as well. If we were to move forward with some of the ROD grants we were approved and see that reserve disappear, we cash, and while we can only use that cash flow for capital projects, we'd really be strapped. All reserves, as I mentioned, kind of at the last budget hearing, we're starting to deplete our reserves as well. I gave that scenario of similar to your home savings, your credit limits as far as grants or reserves. For instance, our maintenance reserve, we used over $4 million to bring into the budget this year as revenue. That depletes pretty much our maintenance reserve down to about $5,000. So now going into 25-26, you're kind of at, if you don't have any excess surplus to put back and recoup that maintenance reserve, you're kind of behind $4 million essentially. So it's why it's important to just establish these. Most likely the maintenance reserve will be the priority to try to get that to build back up. But again, you use that reserve every year to fund essentially your general maintenance line in your general fund budget every year. So again, these are just typical ones we have, but again, the maintenance reserve is kind of the focus of if there are any funds, we put it back in there first.
Thank you. Anyone else? Can I get a motion to move 1 through 20? Okay, roll call, please.
Okay. Marqueta,
Yes.
Mazzone,
Yes.
Slade,
Yes.
D'Antuno,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Francisco,
Yes.
Solokowski.
Yes,
Resolutions 1 through 25 for finance passes.
thank you. Athletics, 1 and 2. Can I get a motion to move athletics, 1 and 2?
Ms. Owen, a motion?
Any discussion?
Yes.
Dantino will second.
Okay. Any
Yes.
discussion?
I have a couple questions.
Go ahead.
So my first question is, all of these coaches that are listed here, are these already established positions with these people, these staff members that are in these positions, or are these newly created coaching positions?
None of them are newly created positions. Some of them are new people in the positions that existed, and some of them are out of district. The double stars, the double asterisk references someone who is new in the position.
Okay.
Okay, so obviously these aren't all of them because we've already approved quite a few. What I guess I'm trying to understand is like the amount of assistant coaches that are needed. I'm curious because I'm not a sports coach. So like, for example, there's the soccer. So there's 3 assistant boys soccer coaches, but then for girls soccer, I believe there's only 1. So just help me understand, like how do you come about like how many assistant coaches you need per team?
That's really a question that Mr. Domino would be the best person to answer. However, there may also, even if there's only 1 coach listed here, they may have been on a prior agenda, and possibly someone was in the position and then resigned, and now we're replacing that person. So the coaches are continually moving as if they move into another building or they decide they don't want to do it anymore. But I could give you the number in each location. I can get that information for you.
Just trying to learn, just trying to gain a picture of a full picture.
Yeah, just so in the follow-up to that, with, my experience of going to a lot of the athletic events, there is equity, if that's what you're looking for, between the genders in the teams, and that's guided by Title IX as well. But in reference to that, so like Dr. Hoker said, you may have 3 assistant coaches on one team, and 2 of them are veterans and are returning. So the process for vetting wasn't going on at the time, so they may have been on an earlier agenda, and these might be, because soccer's a fall sport, so these may be running later because new people in the position that had to be vetted and interviewed for. And then, basketball is a winter sport, and football's fall as well. So that's really behind. You really like to have the football and the soccer ones picked out and selected and vetted prior to the spring, so the coach knows who he's working with, because they've already started looking at what they're doing in the summer workouts for the fall sports.
Okay, thank you. So hopefully this is something we can discuss maybe at athletics, right? This would fall under athletics.
So last year, we had a committee meeting with the assistant coaches. Many coaches showed up. Some of the board who was there, I don't think you guys were there. So they came and they spoke about the concern and need for more assistant coaches, citing concerns of safety, and not to mention that they're not getting the full effect of the coaching. So one of the coaches used track and field, and he was trying to coach track, but then they needed where they jump over the pole. What's that? Pole vault. Yes, thank you. Yeah. So they needed coaches for that. So they weren't able to excel in coaching because they were so focused on one versus the other. And then locker room concerns, that was an issue as well. So I don't know if these coaches are any of them from that, or are they just?
That we took care of
Yeah, we
the
added that
previous
last
semester,
year.
so a previous school year. So none of these are new positions. Again, they just, it's cyclical. Some people return, some people don't return. May have new people entering positions, so there's always adding and subtracting.
Gotcha. Thank you.
They also sometimes switch from one sport to another. And sometimes that happens because they're looking to do that, and sometimes it happens because one sport can't be filled, but we have someone with expertise, so we pull them from one area and then have to fill the other position. So it's that constantly moving puzzle.
Yeah, like letter A, he was the girls' head coach for many years, stepped away from it for a little bit, and now he's coming back as the boys' assistant soccer coach, but it identifies him as new in the position, but probably 25 years coaching in the girls' side.
Anyone else? Any discussion? Can I get a motion to move? Oh, we did that. Okay, roll call, please.
Francisco,
Yes.
Lent, Marqueta,
Yes.
Mazzone,
Yes.
Slade,
Yes.
Dantuno,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Solikowski.
Yes,
Resolutions 1 and 2 for athletics passes.
thank you. Non-certified personnel office 1 through 4.
Giordano motion.
Jojo second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Jodry,
Yes.
Francisco,
Yes.
Lent, Marqueta,
Yes.
Mazzone,
Yes.
Slade,
Yes.
Dantuno,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Solikowski.
Yes,
Resolutions 1 through 4 for non-certificated personnel office passes.
thank you. Non-certified personnel operational 1 through 5. Can I get a motion to move 1 through 5,
Marqueta
separating
moves
number
it.
3 for voting purposes?
Marqueta moves?
Francisco will second.
And now,
We're
Matt,
separating 3, you said?
Separating 3 for voting purposes.
3, okay.
And I have
So
two
we're voting
questions.
on, go ahead, questions.
For number 2 and number 4, I have questions. For number 2, might sound like a stupid question, but what exactly is the Director of Plant Services? Is that like
That's-
landscaping, or is
No,
that?
that's the, Mr. Tricomi, he's oversees all.
Buildings and
Buildings,
grounds.
grounds maintenance,
Okay,
Facilities.
facilities.
okay. The next one is number 4. So I see, so number 5 says the reemployment of Nancy Pepe, assistant to the business administrator, data management specialist. But number 4 is the employment of Sabrina Anderson, which is the same position. So is this a new position being added, or is this a new hiree that is taking over someone who's retiring?
They should both read reemployment.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, so we're voting on 1, 2, 4, and 5. Can I get a motion? We did.
We have it.
Okay.
Roll call?
Roll call, please.
Okay.
But on vote, we
Roll
have to
call
vote
on
on 3.
everything but number
1,
3.
2, 4, and 5.
Yes.
Roll call for 1, 2, 4, and 5.
Right.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Francisco,
Yes.
Lent, Marqueta,
Yes.
Mazzone,
Yes.
Slade,
Yes.
Dantuno,
Yes.
Solikowski.
Yes.
Resolutions 1, 2, 4, and 5 for non-certificated personnel operational passes.
Okay, number 3 now. I'm voting no on this one.
Okay.
And I generally vote no every year on this because I think I discussed it quite a few years ago with this position. I believe this position should be terminated and be recreated for an industrial arts teacher so they can get a view of all the buildings in our district over here to see what has to be done in these buildings. That's my opinion. Again, I'm voting no on it.
Okay, I will do a roll call. Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Francisco,
Yes.
Lent, Marqueta,
Yes.
Mazzone, it's for item number 3.
I kind of see Matt's idea on this. I think I'm going to vote no on this.
Slade,
Yes.
Dantuno,
Yes.
and Solikowski was a
No.
All right. Resolution number 3 for non-certificated personnel operational passes.
Thank you. Non-certified personnel other, 1 through 12. Can I get a motion to move 1 through 12?
Ms. Zona, motion?
Can I get a second, please?
Marqueta seconds.
Any discussion on any of these?
We have a few administrative corrections here. We have line S for resolution number 5. We're going to administratively remove line number S, which is Dawn Markle Fu is the name. Additionally, we are going to add on resolution number 10 in the Schedule C3, the rehire list for noon hour supervisors, administratively adding the following name, Catherine Gill, effective 9/5/24 for 4 hours. That is the 2 administrative corrections in certificated personnel other.
Thank you. Any other discussion? That's it? Roll call, please.
Dan Tuno,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Francisco,
Yes.
Lent, Marqueta,
Yes.
Mazzone,
Yes.
Slade,
Yes.
Solakowski.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 12 for non-certificated personnel, other, passes.
Thank you, Mr. Waddell. Certified personnel, 1 through, well, there's a lot. 1 through 31. Can I get a motion to move?
I believe 30.
Or 30? You're right, 30. Can I get a motion to move certified personnel 1 through 30?
Ms. Owen, motion?
I need a second, please.
Jodrell, second.
Any discussion?
Administrative correction here as well. On page 23, certificated resolution number 14. For line item C, we have a correction to the step in salary for letter C, Deidre Hansen. We are moving BA step 2 with a salary of $52,643 is the correct information there.
52, what was it?
$52,643 as the salary, and the degree in step is BA/step 2. All other information should be the same.
Okay, any other discussion on certified personnel? I think we have some discussion here.
Yes.
The new hirees?
Oh, that's me. Sorry. So we would like to congratulate, okay, sorry if I say the name wrong, Rhiannon Ocello, Pamela Tortorici, Elena Copeland, Deirdre, wait, say it? Deirdre Hansen, Kathleen Sheridan, Sarah Muster, and Melissa Rivera. So if you guys are here, can you guys please come up and take a picture?
Yes.
Just come, yeah, come.
We just want to say congratulations and good luck in all your positions.
Thank you for choosing Old Bridge.
I have a question on number 12. For the principals listed here for the elementary and secondary interview committees, this is just, I should ask, not phrase it as a statement. So is this when they interview for various positions? And when do these interviews take place? Are they during the school day? Are they after hours? I'm just, again, I know that like people are like, oh my goodness, the questions, but I just want to gain some information.
We have 2 interview teams. We have an elementary interview team and we have a secondary interview team, and they're representatives from each of those areas. So when they interview throughout the year, they interview over the summer, various times of the day, depending on the candidates and when they're coming in. It can be during the school day, it can be outside of those hours as well. They apply for those positions, and dependent upon how many applications we get and what's going on in the world of Old Bridge, then they are selected and then hired each year, usually the spring agendas.
How often would you say that they're like actually conducting interviews? Like very
Well-
frequently, and with you, I'm assuming, or are they like step 1 and then you're step 2? Like, okay.
So there's tiers
Yep.
depending on the position. So let's just take elementary. If we just posted for the summer positions. So let's say we need 15 long-term subs and a couple of new teachers for September. They will start in mid-July. They will interview until we fill all of the positions. So they do that during the day. They coordinate with the 3 members, and if there's a position in a particular area, then the supervisors are also brought into those interviews. That is the first round, and then they send me the names for the second round, and dependent upon what school they're in, the principal of that school sits in on the second round. Same thing for the secondary. The supervisors do sit in on the secondary interviews because they're always content specific.
Okay, so my next statement is probably going to be pretty unpopular opinion. While I love and respect our principals and know how hard they work, they're 10-month employees, correct? I mean, sorry, 12-month employees, correct? So they're working over the summer. I guess I'm trying to understand the need for a stipend, and this is not my only
Can I just
question.
interject before
Yeah.
you go there?
Yeah.
Just, it's not something that we voluntarily gave.
Okay.
It's a negotiated item
In their
in their
contract.
contract. So
Right.
for years, they did it without compensation. At some point,
It became.
years back, it was something that they brought to the table as something they would like to be compensated for, because while there may be an opening in, let's say, McDivitt School, and, you know, we usually have, because we're a district of our size, we could have, you know, eight openings at one time for an elementary principal, and you're not going to have the elementary teacher, and you're not going to have the applicant go visit all 8 schools. So there's someone would do it, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to wind up in their school. So that was, I'm interviewing people who may not even wind up in my school. Maybe they don't work out well for my interview, but they work out in another building. So they decided that, as part of the negotiation, that while my job is to be a principal, my job is not to do interviews for everybody. And that was kind of like the negotiation, how it worked out, and the board agreed at that time, and it's been part of their contract.
I just want to add that having the interview teams establishes protocols and consistency in the candidates that we're hiring. Instead of individuals going to buildings and people hiring, and what happened in the past was too, if you had someone that was in your building that was a long-term sub, and so that's the only person you know, and you know them, so you hire them, but there's 10 other great candidates out in the district. By making this a process and the same people interviewing, and then the actual principal sitting in on the second interview, the principal always has a say in who's coming into their building based on the needs of that building, but there's consistency in the process and the team that's interviewing.
Oh, absolutely, definitely not questioning the need for the committee itself.
Anyone else? Okay, certified personnel 1 through 30. Congratulations to the new hirees again. Okay, good luck next year. Roll call, please.
Slade,
Yes.
Dantuno,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Francisco,
Yes.
Lent, Marqueta,
Yes.
Mirzone.
All 2 yes, except number 12. I'm going to vote no on 12.
Yes to all other. Solakowski. Okay.
No, I'm also going to vote no on that one, too.
12, okay. All right, resolutions 1 through 30 for certificated personnel passes.
Non-certified personnel, transportation, please. 1 through 4.
Danton will move.
Ms. Owen will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mirzone,
Yes.
Slade,
Yes.
Dantuno,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Francisco,
Yes.
Lent, Marqueta,
Yes.
Solakowski.
Yes,
Resolutions 1 through 4 for non-certificated personnel transportation passes.
thank you. Transportation 1, 2, and 3.
Giordano, motion?
Can I get
Danton
a
will
s-
second.
Second, okay. Any discussion?
We have an administrative correction here as well. I believe this is page 30, transportation resolution number 2. The attachment E2 has been corrected to reflect revised totals for the 24-25 school year for various contracts. So in the attachment or the administrative correction, there were a couple, this base spreadsheet that was submitted, the formula didn't calculate over to the total. So there was a few that had to be updated and revised to make sure that formula in Excel was correct. So they had been indicated in the administrative correction by a star in the right-hand column, but that is just a formula to revise some of the totals for some of the routes.
Can I ask a question, although it's probably going back in the agenda?
That's all right.
Schedule C3 on the noon hours. Jillian Peters has 0 hours, is that correct? It's in your administrative correcting page. Sorry, it just caught my eye.
I do see it. I don't have the answer.
That's fine, just to bring it to your attention.
Yep.
Can we correct that in the minutes if that is incorrect? Because
We can
I would
correct
assume
it
it is
in the
incorrect.
minutes.
Typically, they are 2 or 4 hours.
Thank you.
We will revise that in the minutes. We'll go back to transportation now.
Transportation, okay. Roll call, please.
Marqueta,
Yes.
Mazzone,
Yes.
Slade,
Yes.
Dantuno,
Yes.
Giordano,
Yes.
Jodry,
Yes.
Francisco,
Yes.
Lent, Solakowski.
Yes,
Resolutions 1, 2, and 3 for transportation passes.
thank you, Mr. Waddell. Supplies, equipment, and services 1 through 17.
I have a couple questions.
Yes.
Number one,
Okay, can I get a motion to move 1 through 17, please?
Jodry will move.
Can I get a second?
Dantuno, second.
Okay, discussion.
yes. Number one, move the board to approve the following selling prices of school breakfast and lunch at the elementary, middle, and high schools. After the tax increase that we just put on our residents, on the amount of money that the schools across the district ended in negatives with people not being able to pay the lunches, what is the point of raising them? I know it's a quarter, but we shouldn't be raising this price for the lunch at all for next year. So is there a reason why this price is going up?
Yes, so the lunch pricing is separate than the general fund, completely separate cost. But essentially, the reason for the price increase is to combat the increase of food and labor. So as you have rising costs of food and labor, any revenue that brings back specifically anything we make in the food service department is a separate, totally separate accounting area. It's called Fund 60, which is enterprise. So anything you make as far as a surplus has to go back to the food service operation. It can't go back in the general fund budget or anything like that. It has to stay to, you can either you can upgrade an equipment, you can put a new serving line like we did at Sandburg. Anything you get can only be used for food service equipment or food service operation. So specifically, prior to COVID, when there was not as much shortages and inflation, the typical probably lunch pricing increase was maybe 10 to 15 cents. I'd say since COVID, the standard has been probably a quarter increase across the board for many districts. In comparison to districts in the county, we're probably actually on the lower end for our lunch pricing. As far as there is a specific tool, it's called the Price Lunch Equity Tool, that helps it guide your lunch pricing. So in 24-25, for the new school year, our weighted price of all 3 levels, the weighted price of the lunch pricing should be $3.85. That's like the weighted average based on the meals you purchase, what your cost of the meals purchased by students, and the cost of what your school lunches are. It should be average of $3.85. So our level is quite below that requirement. So the increase of the 25 cents brings us to that requirement, that price equity, price lunch equity level. Additionally, there's a maximum that you can go up. The maximum is probably, I believe, $5.25 for lunch pricing. So that's the max that some districts are at. So we are we are well below that state max by $1. The increase of 25 cents brings us to the required weighted price for all your 3 levels, right at the $3.85. So that takes, essentially, if you took the $3.50 at the elementary level, the $3.75 at the middle school, and the $4.25 at the high school level, you divide that amongst, we get right to that 3.88 number.
Right, but now is it is it in our contract that we should be raising the prices?
It has nothing, you can increase the lunch pricing every year. You don't have to. However, again, that impacts your bottom dollar at the end. So again, any monies that are made in the food service operation have to go back into your operation. So any surplus that we get, and you can't even call it surplus because it's not a true surplus, you have to reinvest in the program by getting new equipment or by repairing equipment. So it just helps continue and maintain our increase. So the increase of the lunch pricing is in consultation with our consulting company, Advocate. So they look at all the costs of our current lunches, all the meals throughout the year, and then all the invoicing from Aramark. So they run those numbers, they use the paid lunch equity tool for our pricing, and they ultimately give a recommendation of where they feel comfortable, where you can continue to have some wiggle room, be able to upgrade that needed equipment, because you may get, during the course of the year, a couple of big ovens or a couple of big freezers. The freezers are maybe 30,000 plus if a compressor goes down or something like that. So a lot of times that monies that you make can go back into upgrading that equipment. It can only be used to upgrade that equipment.
It can only be used to upgrade that equipment, but can other money be used to upgrade that equipment?
General fund, yes.
General fund money, okay.
Yes, but as we've seen in our budget, we don't budget money towards the food service operation with our general fund money because there's shortages and deficits with our own general fund that we needed to make sure was taken care of.
I understand all of that. And
I just that
do,
our
but
schools, for the most part, ended in such a deficit, and again, across the elementary schools, across the middle schools, and probably even the high school, if we look at the amount of money that families did not pay for the lunch, you think by increasing that's going to help, or that's just going to dig us in a bigger hole?
Well, that is an issue I can't necessarily fix because, again, because of the new requirements where we cannot really take any action against that family, you can continue to not pay. So
right.
some
So
districts
it's like basically penalizing the people that do pay because, like my kids buy lunch, so I'm going to continue to pay, but so I'm paying for a debt for people not paying.
Right.
And nothing can happen to them. So then
ask
what's the point of anyone paying for lunch?
If I want to ask one question, but the students who face financial hardship, this wouldn't impact them because, they get there's reduced ones that would have some impact on, but the free ones wouldn't have any impact on.
Correct. So if you qualify for free and reduced lunch with your application, obviously that cost is free. So any student that has a deficit, anyone that doesn't pay, and probably our district deficit is probably around 40,000. Other districts, even in Middlesex County, are 6-digit. So we actually have a relatively good number. But the problem is we cannot use any food service operation money to cover those deficits. You have to use, if you're going to wipe off the deficit, you have to use general fund money. You cannot essentially take the revenues that you make in the food service operation and wipe off families' debts, or you have to use general fund, unfortunately, taxpayer money to wipe those debts clean. But again, we cannot hold back report cards anymore. We can't offer the cheese sandwich.
No, right, I get that. But again, that's like just exactly what I just said. It's like you're penalizing the people that are paying to make up for the people that aren't paying. So for the people that do pay, why would we continue to pay?
I disagree, because at 40,000 of our debt, or unpaid balances or whatever, most of your families are paying what they're supposed to for the lunch. Your percentage, my guesstimate is pretty low. But if we're also we just had worked the whole year about getting better quality food in the schools and in the lunches, all that costs money. So if we give the food service department the proper finances to get the quality of food that we want for our students,
But we also need to think about the families as well.
Yes.
So again, why would the families that continue to pay when the people who aren't paying, who obviously don't hit the level of free lunch or reduced lunch, why should the people who are paying pay for that deficit? It doesn't matter if the
But they're
food
not.
wasn't-
He said they're not.
They are, because it's going up. So it's going from $3.25 a lunch to $3.50.
It's going up because we want to make sure we have money for when the freezer breaks. They said it's not wiping.
So the kid who doesn't pay for their lunch, they don't have to worry about the freezer breaking, but the parents that do pay for the
They
kids
do. It
eating
comes
lunch-
out of their taxpayers' money. It comes out of the general fund. It comes out of
It-
less money for
No,
textbooks
'cause
and
they're
less
not
money
paying
for.
for their lunches, though.
So let's not say less money for textbooks, though, because there's a lot of places in the general fund that we can use money to help pay for these things. I'm on the same page with Christina. When I saw this today, I immediately called Mr. Whitell to get some more information, and I just can't, as we just raised taxes, and you're comparing us to other districts, which I know is a common practice and useful in certain situations, but you're saying that this weighted average of $3.85 and that we're on the lower end for lunch pricing compared to other districts, and I could be wrong, but I would imagine that most of those districts didn't just raise their taxes to help support the schools. So I cannot see putting more of this on the taxpayer. I just can't. I can't this.
Can I just ask why the one-day difference for the high school? Just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
No, it's 11 days.
They,
The first column, sorry.
right.
Yeah.
The first
I'm
one
looking
is
at the second
breakfast,
one.
but I believe it's when they have a half day, they don't get lunch.
Okay, well, I figured that was a lunch. I wasn't sure. So delayed opening is breakfast? So when they have finals or something? Estimated minimum of number of days serving high school.
That, in all honesty, transparency, that's just how it's been at year to year. It's been that's those same numbers. So I think it's just an estimated
That's fine.
minimum number. So yeah.
Any other discussion on 1 through whatever it was, 17?
Well, I'm separating 16 and 17 for voting.
Do you guys want to separate number 1 for voting?
Yes.
Okay. So it's separating 1 for voting. Was that 1?
Matt, I have a quick question.
Okay.
Matt, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Mr. Waddell, I should have asked you this when I talked to you today, but I didn't realize it. I was looking at number 4, Mimecast. The renewable rate went up 41%.
Which number?
Number 4, Mimecast, that program that checks all our emails.
Wow.
That was 41%. I was wondering,
I
Why
bel-
the-
and I can't speak. I can get the answer from James Yanazilli, our tech director. I believe it's just we're getting a little more extra security. We're kind of increasing what it can do for us.
The part that lowered our insurance,
That
a
help-
couple
yeah.
numbers ago.
Can I just add that in these, in this area, all of these numbers were higher, and Mr. Yanazzelli went back and revisited each one of these areas to see where we could save money and lowered some of the other increases. So it was worse.
A roll call on number 1, please.
Or do you want to do 2 through 15 first?
Sure.
Well, they separated 16 and 17 also.
Okay.
Right.
1,
So
16,
2
and
through
17.
15.
So
And then-
let's go 2 through 15, or 14, or 15, I'm sorry.
All right. So this is for resolutions 2 through 15. Roll call. Lent is absent. Marqueta.
Yes.
Mazzone.
Yes.
Slade.
Yes.
D'Antuno.
Yes.
Giordano.
Yes.
Jodry.
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes.
Solikowski.
Yes.
Resolutions 2 through 15 for supplies, equipment, and services passes. Number 1 was separated by Mazzone for voting. Roll call now. Lent is absent. Marqueta.
Yes.
Mazzone.
No.
Slade.
Yes.
D'Antuno.
Yes.
Giordano.
Yes.
Jodry.
Yes.
Francisco.
No.
Solikowski.
I have to go along with them, no. I think it's a burden on the taxpayers also.
Okay.
No.
Resolution number 1 does pass for supplies, equipment, and services.
Mr. Giordano,
So-
16 and 17 together?
Yes, no, I want to discuss it, yeah.
Sure.
This is new, it's a highlighted, and the amount is $205,000. A similar proposal like this was the Lombardi Field, where it was like at least $500,000, and there were minor problems to it, but the people that rewarded the bid convinced us that we had to replace everything, the field and the track, so that's why I'm hesitant for this until I have more information and see it for myself.
I agree with you on that one. Okay, voting, 16 and 17.
Can we understand more of what that's for, though?
This is just our bid every year. We have an annual bid for our district grass cutting. So we have a weekly schedule for grass cutting, keeping up with our landscaping as far as, the grounds.
So it's not the turf in the field, then?
No,
Okay.
this is our regular.
Just making a comparison, but like I would want more specific information about it.
Okay.
Because it is
Is
new.
this, it's one of those things where we go out to bid on it, right?
Correct. This is an annual bid. I could send the bid specs out for you wanted to see. And really, this bid was actually done out in May. We've had, it could have been potentially awarded earlier. We just had a shortage in our purchasing department right now, so we're just getting through and getting these approved. On-site landscape management has been the incumbent. They've been doing our grass cutting, our landscaping, field maintenance as far as just giving us, infield mix or anything like that in some dirt areas or anything like that. They do cut trees that are dead or anything like that. So it's general landscaping instead of
Can
really.
I ask a question?
Yep.
And I might be putting you in a spot. Do you know what we're paying for the 2023-24 year?
I don't have that off the
Okay.
top.
Is this the same company that we use for 23, 24?
No, on-site,
On-
on-site. So
On-site
we're-
is our incumbent. It goes out to public bid, and custom landscaping and lawn care, who is our incumbent for snow plowing, has all the requisite licenses, all the correct certifications, and again, when you award a bid, it's for the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. So they have all the correct certifications, and they came in. It's a sealed bid. They provide their number based on the specifications, and they came in.
So in clarity, we can't obviously cut all this grass, all these properties.
Why, I thought you were going to do it on Saturday mornings.
Well, I was thinking about it. I was going to get a bunch of goats and move them around. But someone's got to do it, and we have no say over who's going to do it other than the bid process that public schools are forced to go into. So as long as they are responsible and reliable applicant, they responded to the bid, and we have to award it to the lowest bidder. And this way, it's a savings of over $20,000 than the current person who's doing it now and bid on it. But to their point, it's like someone's got to cut the grass.
So we're
Otherwise-
not taking both of these, it's just the
No.
lower one. We're
No,
just
it's-
saying we're approving that we've received these bids.
We received
Right.
the bids, and by law, we're
We're going
awarding
with
it
the
to the
first one.
lowest bidder.
But how
Okay.
many bids were received for this?
Two.
So that's it?
Two.
That's it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Someone's going to cut the grass. Options the goats.
So let's vote on 16 and 17, please.
Lent, absent. Marqueta,
Yes.
Mazzone,
Yes.
Slade,
Yes.
D'Antuno,
Yes.
Giordano,
Abstain.
Jodry,
Yes.
Francisco,
Yes.
Solikowski.
Yes.
Resolution 16 and 17 for supplies, equipment, and services does pass.
Thank you, Mr. White.
I will get you some more information, Sal.
Thank you.
Miscellaneous, 1 through 14. Can I get a motion to move 1 through 14, please?
Ms. Owen,
Francis?
motion?
Francisco will second.
Any discussion?
I have a question real quick.
Go ahead.
On number 3, I know we have discussed this. Is there any way that maybe in the beginning of the year, we are able to give the families like a shorter version, maybe like a bullet point of what a HIB is?
We put it on the website this year based upon your request. So we sent it out to the parents, and new information was placed on the website that breaks down the difference between an HIB and a conflict, and how an HIB is different than a conflict, and how they can file for an HIB.
Are we able to give that out, like maybe like back to school night or?
And I think they did go over
They
that.
did,
They did,
they did
okay.
a full presentation at.
But we'll do it again next year.
Yeah, let's keep doing that.
Yes, thank you.
Maybe a PTA President's Council too. Maybe that's another option of where it can be done.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please. Okay, go ahead.
So number 13, work study students. What exactly are they student teachers? They're not student teachers. Student teachers don't get paid. So what are work study students? What do they do?
So in accordance with Mr. Solkowski's request earlier this year, we established a work study program in the summer that allows for students who are either current or recently graduated students to do some light maintenance throughout
Awesome.
the buildings. It will be on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Mrs. Maria Simone is going to be overseeing it. She currently oversees our current work study program, along with Ms. Hunt. These were 11 students who were identified. As of right now, we are creating a schedule for them. So they will begin work on Tuesday, July 9th, and they'll be working Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays for 4 weeks under the direction of Ms. Simone, and working with some of our elementary principals and the high school principals.
Awesome. Thank you.
How will
they
they be
apply?
getting back and forth to the location?
They have to provide their own
Oh, they
transportation.
provide, okay.
Do they apply, or how do they get into this? Because I know part of the committee, the curriculum committee conversation that was centered around this was certain classifications of students, and I was just wondering if that was followed through, or if this is open to everyone.
This was open to everybody.
They applied, or how did they get chosen, I guess is my question.
So Ms. Hunt and Ms. Simone put out there's almost like a virtual bulletin board of different work opportunities for all of the students at the high school to have access to. These 11 students were identified by Ms. Hunt and Ms. Simone as 11 candidates to work into the program, but they are all of various levels and abilities.
It's a good program for training, for the youngsters to learn something that basically hands-on.
I don't disagree, but at one of the meetings, you had wanted it for a certain classification of student, and that was what I was
I left it up to the
I was
administration to
cautious
figure that
about. I wanted to make sure it wasn't just certain classification.
Call, please.
Francisco.
Yes.
Lent. Marqueta.
Yes.
Mazzone.
Yes.
Slade.
Yes.
Dantuno.
Yes.
Giordano.
Yes.
Jodry.
Yes.
Solakowski.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 14 from miscellaneous passes.
Board Secretary and Board Business. Number 1.
Dantuno will move.
Go ahead. Second, please.
Ms. Almost
Francisco will second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Jodry.
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes.
Lent. Marqueta.
Yes.
Mazzone.
Yes.
Slade.
Yes.
Dantuno.
Yes.
Giordano.
Yes.
Solakowski.
Yes.
Resolution 1 for Board Secretary and Board Business passes.
Thank you, Mr. Wydell. Hearing of residents on any school district item, anything to do with the school.
Hello. Nancy Cogland, old BEA member, resident in town, paraprofessional in district. I just wanted to share with you the OBEA Public Relations Committee was very busy this year supporting our schools and community with grants totaling over $60,000. Thank you. We are proud to have sponsored STEM nights at Miller, Madison Park, McDivitt, both in the fall and the spring, and at Old Bridge High School. We sponsored multicultural events both at Miller and Madison Park. We provided Miss Lau, a Chinese teacher here in the high school, with $1,500 for her Lunar New Year celebration at the high school, where the attendees participated in dumpling making, played Chinese games, and learned how to write in Chinese. During this event, we shared a delicious Chinese dinner and were entertained by our students as they danced a traditional Chinese dragon dance. It was our pleasure to partner with SEPTA to provide entertainment for their fall festival tent or treat. We gladly supported their special education workshops by providing food and drinks. Our Pizza and Pictures with Santa was a huge event, huge success with over 350 people in attendance. We completely funded Sandburg's Civil War Day. This event brought the classroom outside, allowing students to get a better understanding of life during the Civil War. The actors and the active canon certainly transported the students back in time. We sponsored movie nights for both Memorial and Southwood schools. Glen School received a grant to fund their Family Fun Farm Day in the fall and their Family Fun Bubble Day this past spring. The OBEA sponsored the Old Bridge Girls softball team. We funded Sandburg Sports Awards Night where athletes were honored for the success in their individual sport. We supported the OBEF Casino Night, PTA President's Council Candidates Night, and sponsored Voorhees' virtual pizza making event. We finished the year with an ice cream social that was attended by over 290 people. This event was open to all Old Bridge students and their families. All of these events are completely free and directly benefit our students and their families. If you are interested in applying for a grant, please reach out to obeapresident@gmail.com. And I wanted to thank the board members that came out to a few of those events. I love seeing you come and enjoy the students and all that our staff and students have to offer. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, Mr. President. I am Sean Donnelly. I've been a resident of Old Bridge since 1980 and a teacher and coach in the district since January of 1995. I'm here on behalf of the Sandburg athletic coaches and administration to thank the Old Bridge Education Foundation for the generous donation in sponsoring the 43rd annual Carl Sandburg Athletic Award and Hall of Fame induction ceremony on June 12th. Their donations provided a beautiful backdrop of balloons on the stage, a pre-reception for the Hall of Fame inductees, their families and coaches. They also made a generous contribution, purchasing many frames and mats so the Hall of Fame inductees' pictures can proudly be displayed on the walls for the current Sandburg students to view and be inspired to one day be selected for the Hall of Fame. I would personally like to thank Nancy Coughlin with the OBEF for her support and dedication in making sure the event would be a success. She was great to work with and delivered on every promise, and even personally delivering water and food. So Nancy, if you'd come up here, please. Your dedication to the Old Bridge students and staff does not go unnoticed and unappreciated. On behalf of the Sandburg coaches, I'd also like to thank the Principal Tim Dolan, and Vice Principal Angela Ziemba for brainstorming ideas to improve the night 2 years ago. We put every one of their suggestions into effect this year, and it was the best ceremony we had in more than a decade. I received many compliments that night and afterwards about how nice the event is and how smooth it went. It truly is a team effort, and I'd like to thank them for their contributions to that night. I'd also like to thank Vice Principal Tim Gottfried for working with the Sandburg coaches all year and for being such a supportive help to this event. It would not have been a success without the help of all four of them. And I just wanted to come out here and publicly thank them, acknowledge them in front of the board, and that's it. So thank you for your time, Mr. President and board, and I wish you all a great summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Donnelly. Thank you. Anyone else? I see no hands. Okay, any old business?
I have something.
Go ahead.
So on June 19th, I was invited to Mrs. Conover's class in Memorial School, and she wanted me to give a little demonstration about beekeeping. So as a beekeeper, I brought beehives and tools, and I can guarantee you there were no live bees in the classroom. But the students had a great hands-on experience. They were looking through the frames. They were learning a lot of technology. They watched a video about beekeeping. And then today, to my surprise, I came in and found these beautiful handmade cards, all with original bee artwork on them and a nice message inside. So I can't wait to go home later and read them, but I really want to thank them for their kindness.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just want to give a shout out to the Transportation Department in coordinating the high school. I was kind of overhearing Ms. Unglert talk to Dr. Hoker, and because of the coordinating that she did with getting the band and chorus students there and then being able to reuse that bus, saved the district some extra finances by not having to rent additional buses. So I want to give the Transportation Department the credit and a big thank you for their dedication in making the high school graduation transportation seamless. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes. Just a couple of things. I wanted to say that I had the opportunity to go to, all of us did, we're always invited, to the graduations, to the middle school graduations and the high school graduation. They were all beautiful ceremonies, executed flawlessly. They were really just a pleasure to be at and to watch our children thrive and grow and graduate. So I just wanted to say thank you for inviting me and having me there, all of us. It's really a pleasure to watch. I also just wanted to make a quick statement about all of the questions that you hear happening. So I hope that the public can be appreciative of the many questions that are being asked. I know they make the meetings longer and they kind of, just go on sometimes. But I'm doing my best to work behind the scenes to learn as much as I can. I might not always know everything, and that's why I ask. So I know that administration can attest to the phone calls and the emails that they get. So I'm trying to learn. I know that to some of you, I can kind of, feel the tone that it might, I don't know. I don't know how it's viewed. I just hope it's viewed in no other way than just wanting to learn and gain information. And if any of you need to know that information, I like to ask the questions here. I can ask all the questions behind the scenes, and I do some of that. But I want to ask them here because I feel like the public has the same questions. So I just wanted to kind of explain that a little bit. And if you have questions for me, please always feel free to reach out and ask me as well. And lastly, I would just like to wish all of our students, our families, our staff members, and just the entire community a really happy and safe summer. Thank you.
Any new business?
Last thing, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to congratulate all of our graduates, 8th grade, kindergarten, and high school. Congratulate them all on their graduation, especially the high school seniors. I want to wish them good luck in everything they do in the future. 8th grade, unfortunately, you guys have to come back and see us. But high school, just always just follow your dreams and do what you guys, always want to do. So thank you. And thank you to the board members for being patient with me this school year, and to the admin for answering my 4 million questions a day. And that's it. So thank you. Have a good summer, everyone.
Anyone else?
I just want to also add, as well as thanking for the invite to the graduation, the building administrators that coordinate the graduations so that the students walk on seamlessly. I want to also, acknowledge your dedication and hard work. So again, thank you for doing that and making our graduations look so easy. So thank you to the building admin.
Mr. President, I'll just add that.
Go ahead.
Thank you. It's a really a blessing to be able to be a superintendent in a district like this and have this, bird's eye view of children when they enter our schools at 3 years old, 4 years old, and then some at 5 years old, and know that along the way there'll be some bumps and challenges for those children as they grow into their own personalities and they develop, and everyone develops at their own pace and their own way. And when you come to a high school graduation and you see so many wonderful students who really represent all of the work that takes place through our staff and everyone who plays a significant role in educating our students and joining them and forming that partnership with the parents and putting out the best children possible is really truly inspiring. And I hope everyone who attends the high school graduation can see that and take away from that, because we really do a wonderful job of presenting humans. We develop humans at the end of the day, and I think they represent us well. And they continue to reach out. 2 of the girls who were just graduated yesterday who are going off to Canada tomorrow for to represent in the softball world championships. You know, I really barely know them, but they stopped by my office today, gave me a picture with them, their picture as they're going, and then they'll go on hopefully to the Olympics to represent Greece, and they have dual citizenship there. It's just amazing, great kids that we put out here, and thank you for everyone from our teachers, educators, parents, this board, everyone who's played a role in that, because like I said, they all develop differently and they all have some bumps along the way, but they really are magnificent once they set out on their way. So thank you. Have a great summer, everyone.
Anyone else?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
I'd also like to congratulate the seniors that graduated yesterday. It's going to feel easy, but you have to make sure to keep the pedal on the metal. As a reminder, continued reminder, take summer classes, take CLEP exams, register for 18 credits, study your guide sheets for graduation requirements, manipulate your schedules to graduate earlier. You know, tell job fairs you're a sophomore, get the ball rolling, get out as soon as possible, and good luck. Hopefully you keep your foot on the gas and continue to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Giordano. Here's a fellow that I believe finished college in, what, 2.5 years?
2 years.
2 years. Thank you.
By myself, too. And luckily, we have great programs now for kids to follow in a more structured way, so easier for them. Thank you.
I would like to wish all our students and our staff a good summer and a safe summer.
So
Come
I just
back
wanted to add something, Matt, to Sal's point of view. That program that we have now for the college, where you could finish college in 2 years, that was administered under this under you guys, correct? Prior to Mr. Cittadino taking the seat, there was no such thing.
Well, I'm not going to take credit for the whole program, but we had a vision for giving our opportunity for our students to leave the high school with a degree, associate's degree where possible, and Dr. Tui's team and the high school team have done a magnificent job with that, and over the next few years we're going to have plenty of students who are graduating high school, getting a diploma, and then going over to Middlesex County College and getting a diploma that day as well.
That's tremendous, ladies and gentlemen. In my 2 years on here, I've learned a lot. I came up here, I was aggressive. I had my reasons for being so. But what I've learned is that this administration, I guess all of them together, they all work together to make this district as good as it can be. And if you look at the numbers, as far as kids that go off to great colleges, right? How many kids go to Penn State? How many kids are going to really good, tremendous colleges? That's a testament to what they've done, right? Previously, before this, I've spoken to kids who have graduated in maybe like 2010, 2009. I've spoken to those people, and they told me that before the administration took their seats, this district wasn't, it was not, I don't want to say it was a cesspool, but it wasn't that good, right? I mean, the teachers were great. You guys worked your hardest, whoever was here during that time. You guys tried to do what you could do, but a large testament has to go out to the last 15 years? 11?
We're going on our 12th year working together.
So, I mean, a large testament has to go out to that for making Old Bridge and the students here as good as they could be. So, thank you, Dave. Thank you, Kathy, Dr. Tui, Mr. Domino, anybody that has a hand, our teachers. Thank you very much. You guys are very appreciative, are very appreciated. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we're going to go into executive session, closed session.
Ms. on a motion.
Francisco will second.
Yes. Good night, folks. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Have a good summer,
And we'll see you in
everyone.
the fall, okay?
And good luck to you guys.
Yes, good luck. Yes.
Have a great summer.